What is going on, Alabama fans? We are talking about the biggest news of the day here. Last night, there were multiple reports that Ty Simpson was named Alabama's starting quarterback officially now. First people that I saw report this were the Tuscaloosa News and Matt Zenitz, and then there was a whole slew of other people that reported it as well. And I do think it says a lot that Alabama was actually able to name a starter a few weeks before the season. If you remember back to spring practice, Kalen DeBoer said the goal was to be able to name a starter just a couple of weeks before the first game of the year. But at the end of the day, it does not always actually happen that way. Sometimes you have to go out there and you have to wait to see how a guy actually plays in a real game before you actually get a good idea of how they're going to respond under pressure. And there won't be a bigger test for Ty Simpson than going down to Tallahassee for the first game of the season and seeing how he performs in that game. Now that, a starter has been named, I think the big question here for Ty Simpson is, how is he going to be able to respond to that adversity, and will it be good enough for him to remain the starting quarterback for the entirety of the season? Because I don't think Ty Simpson is going to have the same amount of leeway that Jaylen Milroe did last season. So I want to hear from you guys down in the, well, I guess not down in the comment section. If you guys are excited, I went full Ron Burgundy there. If you guys are excited about Ty Simpson being named Alabama's starting quarterback, make sure you get down there and like today's video for me right now. Now, if you guys watched the short that I put out last night when this news was announced, I said this exact same thing. I don't think this should come as a surprise to anybody that Ty Simpson is named the starting quarterback for Alabama. If you've been following Alabama football since spring practice, Ty has been the leader since spring practice. Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb have constantly told us that these guys are on different levels in terms of their development as college quarterbacks. And I think a big part of naming a starting quarterback as well is having the team back whatever guy you're going to end up choosing there. And I think we've seen Ty go out of his way to, bond with some of his teammates off field as well. He's taken them both on hunting and multiple fishing trips since, the springtime. He's had them over to cook for them over at his apartment for dinner. His father, Jason Simpson, did an interview back a couple of months ago with Bama Online, and he talked about how much, Ty has changed in terms of his preparation and how much he's matured since last year and really since he's been here at Alabama. He's constantly talking to his teammates about how practice went after he, goes home. He's texting with the guys, just trying to get on the same page. So next time they go out there on the practice field, they can get those things right and be consistent at that. I think that's helped with the timing, with these guys as well. And, he's going to bed early. Just sleep is a massive, massive part of the recovery process. Hell, he even, sent his dog back home to live with his parents in Tennessee so he can strictly focus on being the quarterback here at Alabama. And, that's just some of the off-the-field stuff. Ty Simpson has also matured a lot on the field and doing some of those things, whether it's going through his progressions or taking the check down. That's something that Kalen DeBoer has talked a lot about as well. So we're going to continue to talk about this here on today's show. But I want to hear from you guys down at the pinned comment of today's video. How many touchdowns will Ty Simpson have this season, both passing and rushing? Because I think he's a little bit underrated in that running aspect as well. Let me know what you guys think down at the pinned comment of today's video. All right, Ty Simpson, since coming into campus, he shouldn't really have ever been overlooked, in my opinion. He was a five-star quarterback coming out of high school in that 2022 recruiting class, number 3 quarterback as well. And, he was the only quarterback that Alabama took in that 2022 signing class. And, he knew from day one that there was going to be a chance that he would actually have to wait a while to play. And this is honestly one of my favorite quotes of all time from Ty Simpson. And honestly, this is the reason why I've been rooting for him to win this starting quarterback job since, honestly, 2 years ago at this point. He's had multiple versions of this quote, but he actually said this to Touchdown Alabama magazine. He said, "Whether I started in my freshman year or fifth year senior year, I don't really care. It's just the fact that I get to go down there and learn from the best coach of all time, be like how Mac Jones was, I guess you could say, being able to learn from Tua and Jaylen. There was multiple opportunities where Ty Simpson could have hit the transfer portal, gone to a different team, and been the starter for a different team. Like you've seen guys like Eli Holstein and Dylan Lonergan, both of those guys are starting quarterbacks now for their respective teams as well. So really appreciate Ty Simpson for just going out there and sticking it out every single year and just continuing to, not just be a, good quarterback, but a good person with a good head on his shoulders as well. We'll continue on here in just a second, but you guys can continue to get this Alabama-Columbia quarter zip today. It is still on sale. Don't know how long it is going to continue to be on sale, so if you guys want this at a massive discount, you guys get it ASAP. It was $90 on sale now for only $45. Just go to chatsports.com/BamaQTRZip. I'll put that link down at the pinned comment of today's video, as well as like the second, third-ish paragraph of the description of today's show as well. Like I said, it is on sale for 50% off. All you guys got to do is go to chatsports.com/BamaQTRZip. Don't know when it's actually going to go back up to that $90 range. I would assume probably when the season starts, so do not miss out. Get that on sale today. Link is in the comment section and the description of today's video. Now let's go back to kind of where we were 2 years ago in terms of that Ty Simpson versus Jalen Milroe versus Tyler Buchner quarterback battle from that 2023 season. This is what was part of the, I guess it wasn't part of the Chris Lowe article. It was part of the tweet that he put out with the article announcing Ty Simpson as the starting quarterback. He said, the thought with Nick Saban and the previous staff going into that 2023 spring was that Ty Simpson was likely going to be the guy, but he didn't play with confidence, and Jalen Milroe ended up winning the job. Now, there were, and there still may be some people out there that, look at Ty Simpson and they judge Ty Simpson on not being able to surpass Jalen Milroe as the starter over the past 2 seasons. And the argument that you see a lot is, well, if he couldn't beat out Jalen Milroe, then he must have been worse than him. I think the quarterback position is a lot more nuanced than that. Obviously, from the report there from Chris Lowe, the Nick Saban staff thought that Ty Simpson would be the guy. But Jalen Milroe, had already played a little bit in the previous year, and the team was behind him at that time. And that is a lot of it, having the backing of your teammates as well. And by the way, I just want to throw this out there too. I don't really buy, there is a conspiracy theory out there of sorts that, the team played bad on purpose with Tyler Buchner because they didn't think that Jalen Milroe should have been benched. And I don't really buy into that. Thought the defense played great in that game as well. And Tyler Buchner was just awful. That just is what it is. I think that was more of a Tommy Rees call to be able to start Tyler Buchner in that game, but that's neither here nor there. Ty just wasn't ready mentally to be the leader, to be the starting quarterback for Alabama that season. And people also do forget, I think, that Jalen Milroe was there a whole year before Ty Simpson ever showed up. A year in college football is a massive difference in terms of building those relationships with your teammates as well as developing yourself as a player as well. He always has had the talent, but since last spring, I think the confidence level and the leadership ability have really stuck out for Ty Simpson and this Alabama coaching staff. So I'm just super excited for this kid, and I cannot wait for Alabama football. We are just a couple of weeks away now at this point. Make sure you guys are subscribed right here to the Alabama Football Report as well. We're going to be live for every single Alabama football game, and we are trying to crush our goals off the field as well. In August of 2024, last year in August, we had 539 new subscribers here on the channel. We are 181 away from beating that. It's August 12th now. We've got plenty of time to be able to crush that subscriber number, so help me out. Stay up to date on all things Alabama football related and hit that sub button for me right now. Now, one of the most underrated aspects, I think, of Ty Simpson's game, I think a lot of people are sleeping on his athletic ability. I keep seeing this comparison to Mac Jones out there, and I think it might be fair to, make that comparison if you're saying that he was able to wait his turn, stick it out, and become the starting quarterback. But I think that's the only comparison you could really make. I think both of these guys, athletic-wise, are just completely different players. I love Mac Jones, but that guy is not athletic at all. I think Mac Jones was the definition, and I mean this as a compliment. I mean this in a good way. Mac Jones was an elite game manager. I think when you have Ty Simpson, he's going to be a whole lot more than that. Mac Jones was able to get the ball to his playmakers and let them cook. I think Ty Simpson is also one of those playmakers. I think Ty is going to do much more than what Mac Jones was able to do for Alabama a couple of seasons ago. In the limited time that Ty Simpson has played, we have seen him show the ability to make plays outside the pocket, whether that's scrambling and throwing the ball or just taking it and running itself. He's had a couple of really nice runs throughout his career here at Alabama. I will say, though, in terms of his, throwing, he's got to be better than what he has been. I think that is totally fair to say. I think a couple of years ago, too, he had that issue with his pointer finger, getting on top of the ball when you have whether it was a broken bone in his finger or a ligament issue, it's hard to get on top of the ball. So I think a couple of years ago, you saw him sail some balls a couple of times, but I think that's pretty much, he's gotten a handle on that. That issue is no longer. Kalen DeBoer said, throughout practice, he is, hitting guys in strides. He is making the plays that need to be made on a consistent basis. I think going into the season, you're going to see Ty Simpson really thrive and be one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC, if not all of college football. And in terms of him running the ball as well, I mean, dude, in the limited time that he has played, 5.9 yards per carry, 130 yards on 22 rushes, and it's funny, he's only scored running the ball. He hasn't actually thrown a passing touchdown yet at Alabama. The only little snafu for him running the ball, he had that 78-yard run. I think it was against Mercer. It might have been against one of those other trash teams that you played towards the end of the year. But he ended up, dropping the ball before he actually crossed the end zone, and it rolled out of the back of the end zone for a touchback. So that's one of those things where, I'm sure he learned from that. But I do think a lot of people are going to be very surprised on how athletic Ty Simpson actually is. So now that we have quarterback 1 decided, I want to hear from you guys down in the comments section. Who is going to be quarterback 2 for Alabama this season? Type AM for Austin Mack or type KR for Keelon Russell. I know a lot of people are excited about Keelon Russell, the 5-star, the highest rated player in Alabama history coming out of high school, but I don't want to overlook Austin Mack either. I think he's a very talented kid, and I would hate for, something to happen where, he ends up hitting the transfer portal because I think he's a really good kid, and I do think he is dedicated to Kalen DeBoer and the University of Alabama. So I want to hear from you guys down in the comment section. Who do you guys think will be quarterback 2 for Alabama this season?